No, I just need some flowers in the background. Can you get those flowers down there in the other chair?
Okay.
Can you get our product, Jew?
Welcome, welcome to a beautiful day. We are located in this great city of Chicago. It is the Progressive Mind Show. I'm your host, Senna, aka Alinko. Today is September 16th, 2020, and it's a Wednesday, of course, but it's never going to be another day like this. We give thanks and we are grateful to the Lord and to our audience. If you're on Facebook, please help share the feed, and YouTube guys can do there as well. We're currently live on both platforms. This evening, we are excited to be talking about gardening, agriculture. Feeding the community is what it is. You are what you eat. Some say your food is your medicine. We have great people in this in Chicago who are going to be talking to us about agriculture, gardening, the essence of feeding ourselves by growing, feeding ourselves with what we grow, basically growing what we eat. I would encourage you to share the feed and help contribute to make this evening discussion a success, because this platform is where we grant the audience, or we create a platform where you and I can come and deliberate on issues with the sole aim of empowering and making our community better. Once again, good evening. I'm very excited, and we are going to be getting into it in a little bit. However, Captain Mike will give us a segment when he is done. We are going to be talking to these great people. Please share the feed as we talk to Captain Mike. My brother, it's been a long week. We're glad you were here as always. Good to see you. Now you shaved and you clean. 2 months ago, you were looking like I don't know what, but
wow,
you were looking awesome.
Back to work.
How is it? How are you? How have you been, bro?
Everything's going well. Working a little bit more. The loads are increasing a little bit, up to 40% as opposed to 20%. So things are looking up for now. So let's keep that upward trajectory, and let's keep things moving positively.
Exactly. I mean, more so when the international borders are open, people are flying out of the country, and people who have their vacations held are not able to get on a plane and go enjoy their vacations. So good thing for the airline industry, my brother. Take it from here.
All right. Looking at our current temperature, 75 degrees at Midway. Winds are out of the south. Pretty nice night. We're going to have partly cloudy skies. A little bit warmer than normal today, about 80 degrees. We hit a record high was 93 degrees, but our normal around this time is about 75 degrees. Normal low is about 57. I spoke earlier, it was 80 degrees at Midway right now. So we're going to get down to about 63 degrees tonight, and maybe a stray shower here or there. Whereas tonight, looking at a low of maybe 63 degrees. Tomorrow, nice day, 65 degrees, low of the 50s. It's going to stay that way throughout this week, Saturday. But then next week, we're going to pretty much have a similar pattern. It's going to be high in the lower 70s and lows in the around 60 degrees and winds out of south. So no need to even show you anything there. It's going to be pretty much the same weather. You might have a few clouds on Tuesday, but that's about it as far as the weather. It's going to be nice. You might want to have a sweater nearby for the nighttime. You get down to, upper 50s, maybe around 60. Looking at sports tonight, we have the Sox, who are on a winning streak in first place. Yeah, are going to play the Twins tonight at 7:10 p.m. Cleveland is in town tonight, play the Cubs at 7:15. And Orlando City is going to take on our Fire on Saturday. And looking into health and fitness, well, one thing we do need to talk about, the late, great Chadwick Boseman died at a young age from colon cancer. So let's look at our screening. Recommended screenings starting at age 45 for everyone, not if you have a history. This is for everyone. A colonoscopy only takes around 60 minutes or so. They check your large intestine, they put a camera in and look for any abnormalities. And you go home the same day. After about 30 minutes, you do have a quick bounce back period. So it's in and out in one day. You should especially maybe even start before age 45 if you have a family history of colorectal cancer, a history of inflammatory bowel disease, or any type of bowel activities that are going on that cause any kind of discomfort throughout your life. So, guys, get there. Go. Get tested. Get checked. We don't want to lose anyone else to something that may be preventable. So I've been told I'm preachy, so I'm preaching. So I'm going to step off my soapbox with that and going back to you, Sika.
All right, my brother. Thank you. And definitely appreciate your work and your commitment. We are very thankful. And we are looking forward to great things happening. I know the pandemic has been, it looks like people thought maybe by fall things would be better. But look, it seems like people are still, this thing's not going anywhere for now. Kids are, education has been distorted. Parents are struggling, to be teachers and parents and work and all of that. It's been tough, but we know that there's still hope for the future. God is still with us, and we will ride this. Greater days are yet to come, right?
And definitely, and just like your guest, healthy diet. From what I'm learning from the doctors and scientists, they all say that does help prevent not only the COVIDs, but a lot of other abnormalities and maladies that affect us. So eat well and listen to our guest tonight.
All right, my brother, thank you so much. We shall be in contact. See you next week. Enjoy the weekend, and be good. All right.
All right. Enjoy this week.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much. That was Captain Mike, doing this thing. We appreciate him coming to you with the health, sports, and weather updates. Great gentleman. Even in spite of tight schedule, he makes it to the show and makes it to you all the time. More importantly, to the community. His dedication and service to the community is outstanding, even for his profession and his personal life. So thank you so much, Captain Mike, all the time. For coming through all the time. You're still logged on to the Progressive Mind Show here on Facebook. We are also live on YouTube. Please help share the feed once you come on so we can get the message out. Feeding the community is what we're talking about today. You are what you eat. Your food is your medicine, all of the above. I have great people here who are going to be helping to join help to make this discussion a great one. We want to start something new on the Progressive Mind Show. So each time before we get things going, we want to give you a quote for the day or some inspirational verse, from the good book, from the Bible. And as a Christian, I that's my book. That's what I drive my inspiration and wisdom from. Now, today's verse of the day, we want to take it from Proverbs chapter 10, verses 21 to 22. from 2021 says, the lips of the righteous nourish many, but fools die for lack of judgment. 22, the blessing of the Lord brings wealth, and he adds no trouble to it. The blessings of the Lord brings health, wealth. The blessings of the Lord brings wealth, and he adds no trouble to it. We are grateful, and we are hoping that the good Lord himself will help us and bless us in everything we find our hands on. On that note, let me introduce my great guest here. We have, so we're going to try to do this. Okay, so we do have Julian and Mrs. Kenya Sample, who are the owners of DUSABLE City Ancestral Winery. Mr. and Mrs., you are welcome to the Progressive Mind Show. Your microphone is up. Good. Excellent. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having us. We are really excited about talking about what our work is and the passion behind that.
Brilliant. Hopefully we can get some more light because we can hardly see the handsome man by you. Julian, we can
hold on, I got it.
Yes, and yeah, thank you, Kenya. You got it. My brother Thad Smith is the founder, and he is the executive director for WESTSIDE BOYZ. My brother has been on the show before. Brother Thad, you're welcome again to the Progressive Mind Show, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me, man. I always look forward to talking to you, my brother. Always.
Excellent. We are hoping to get Anton here. Looks like he's in the backstage trying to get in. Once we are able to do so, we would connect him. But let's talk about COVID a bit. I mean, before we go into agriculture, has COVID in one way or the other? I mean, you guys have been farming and been in this industry for a long time. Prior to COVID and COVID, has there been any distortion in your business, in your craft, if any at all? And we'll start with the two beautiful people out there, Julian and Kenya.
Well, I think I'll talk broadly, and
okay.
I know some of these things affected many farmers.
All right.
That many of us got some, not all of us, but many of us got a late start.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Many of us start from seed. This year there was a lot of seed that wasn't available.
Okay.
Because there's more interest in growing food at home, especially if you don't keep your own seed.
Right.
So that put many behind, and also just kind of capital and budget constraints because many individuals do not farm 12 months out of the year. So many of us have regular jobs. And because of that, many of us were out of work, and that may have put some constraints on money that's usually there to put into starting your farm operations in late winter, early spring. So that could have put you behind as well. So I think those are maybe some of the major issues. I don't know, Kenya, you have anything to add?
Well, I think those were really excellent points. And I think that's the beauty of a union of a husband and wife, because we kind of think of things differently. Mm-hmm. So I think I was like really impressed with those points. So that was amazing.
All right.
So all of those things were really true. I would add that for me, because of the COVID, my work really increased, and the importance of farming in my mind for me became so much more concrete during this time. Right. Because at first I really kind of felt like, okay, I didn't really think of myself as an essential worker. Mm-hmm. But then when the demand around the farming and being able to pivot our curriculum and still teach children in our community how to grow food, that all just became so intense. So honestly, the work around, because of COVID in response and really seeing the importance of having BIPOC food channels where people can access, especially here in Chicago in light of the looting and all of those things, we really realized that our work was really needed, and we had to really dig deeper and find more passion and kind of push away those kind of feelings of depression around all that's going on.
Okay, thanks. My brother, Thad, who would say COVID hasn't affected them one way or the other, unless you are not from this planet? So maybe
You're right.
you are not. You're the only one who's not from here. So tell us how life has been on the other side of this earth without COVID. I'm just kidding.
Well, I can't speak for everybody else, man, but my business has boomed this year.
All right.
There has, I mean, bees are going to do their thing. Who cares what's going on? The world is going to, they need nectar and they need honey. That's just going to happen. So nothing's going to change in regard to beekeeping. Actually, the demand for honey has increased. When we started doing the farmers markets, my first farmers market, I sold out of honey the first time I was out there. So my farming doesn't depend on anybody. It just really depends on flowers, and those are going to bloom no matter what. It depends on trees, and those are going to bloom no matter what. What really can affect me is the end game is when I have to sell it. That's what really can affect me. But because I can get in the stores and other ways, it really didn't affect my bottom line. And like I said, actually, I had to actually hire somebody to keep up with the demand that I'm experiencing.
So to you, COVID has actually, I mean, prior to COVID, and let's say the business was, doing well, but COVID has actually been a boom, has been a blessing to your business. That's what you're saying. It's been
a combination of the COVID and the time that we're in, this George Floyd thing. It's been that combination, whereas it's just fashionable to be Black and people want to support Black business. So it's been that and the COVID.
Oh, that is awesome, because so after all, I mean, COVID has been a blessing to some people, and so we'll take it as it is. Let's go into the craft, your business itself. Having been, if we talk about agriculture, gardening, farming, all of that, I mean, it's not necessarily a household terminology or word that we use every day, right? And so, but it looks like it is the fiber of the human race. I mean, like, not even the human race, planet Earth, everybody, every living thing depends on agriculture. Okay, that sector, but we don't talk about it. And so that's why we think it's very important. So in your own definition, what does agriculture, or let's say urban gardening, farming, mean to you, and the essentiality of it? And I'll start with Kenya.
Okay. Oh, please don't let me get started, okay, about what agriculture means, okay? Well, when I think of agriculture for me is the greatest revolution of Black people. Like, that was our greatest invention. And many people who are in the agricultural world already understand Carver when he spoke of his famous phrase that says, without agriculture, there would be no culture. There would be no music. There would be no math. There would be no science, no botany. There would be no languages, integers, whatever. Architecture, all of those things are influenced by the revolution of agriculture. And one of my really favorite resources that I cite oftentimes in my communication around agriculture is I love the resource called The 7 Lost Crops of Africa. And that really talks about the origins of food. So when we think about things like that, people are really thinking about all these terms of, is it organic? Is it GMO? And this really takes a step back from all of that and gives you a fundamental good base for understanding the history of agriculture and why it's so important, how it really spread around the world. And even looking at one of our most our favorite plants that we specialize in is the elderberry. So here I have some of the elderberry that this season, And this berry is one of the oldest berries in the world. And from this berry, all other berries come. And this berry is indigenous to this area. So when you start to understand the history, you really start to understand why this all makes sense and why these plants are very, as our mentor, Baba Fred and Dr. J often say, we're looking at the intelligence of a plant. So that would be the opening.
I don't know if Julian, brother Julian, has something to add to that.
Yeah, I'll say something. Specifically urban agriculture, and I'll keep some of the context King has laid down. I think it's an opportunity for Black people specifically to begin in small ways to start making connections, where we're growing food, we're working collaboratively to begin to start supplying food to in our own communities. Generally, for the most part, all of us, no matter where we reside in the U.S., are dependent on other groups, for the most part, to provide our food. And I think urban agriculture kind of provides a first, second step. Truly, you need scale to try to start feeding a lot of people, but on a small scale, it provides at least that awareness and the potential to work together on a small scale. Secondly, I think it presents business and economic opportunity for those who are sharp enough to see it. And I think there's opportunities in niched agricultural businesses. I love the brother that's on with us on the bees and the honey. It's a niche business. It works well in small spaces. You know, in urban agriculture, we're not dealing with acres and acres of, continuous land. So we have to figure out. It's really fitting with our business model. We have a small, like a quarter of an acre, but we grow enough medicinal herbs and elderberry and other things that we need to make the product that we're starting with. I know we're a winery, but we make medicinal tinctures and, another niche business. So that's it.
Yeah, no, definitely. We would come to the products and what you do, and how we can get people can get in touch with it, and the benefits of it and all of that. We just wanted to get to the basics, so why do we even have to talk about agriculture, right? And so we want to lay that foundation and let people understand the essence of what we're doing, right? And the importance of people even actually being part of the family, the urban farming, urban gardening, or just the general agriculture sector. Brother Anton Seals, can you hear me?
I sure can. Can you hear me?
Absolutely, we can hear you. So brother Anton is also here with us. And of course, he wasn't here during the beginning. We couldn't do the introduction. We couldn't introduce him because he.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right. You could just dive right on in.
Okay, so brother Anton, tell us a little bit about your background and your organization, so the audience can get to know who you are.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for having me, and thank you to Kenya and Julian for connecting us. And so my name is Anton Seals Jr. I've been working in the food system, and so my work has been from the angle of like policy, and that's how I got into actually the food system. So I think Grow Greater Englewood, the organization that I helped co-found with Representative Sonia Harper, we were convening people in particular around the forthcoming Whole Foods that was coming into Englewood. But because we both had been working in and across with different urban ag groups, we wanted to make sure there was a space for Black farmers to flourish in Englewood, because in the Green Healthy Neighborhoods Plan, that and prior to that, the Quality of Life Plan called for the reuse of all of this vacant land. Englewood has the most vacant land in the city. I think Englewood and North Lawndale, East Garfield Park.
North Lawndale second. North Lawndale second, baby boy.
Yeah, they're just like all neck and neck. But and those have a history of the divestment that has happened in our communities. So part of our work is to do the kind of approaches around having the city and the responsibility of the public, making that reuse of land, which has been not easy or sexy because they move very slow as opposed to people can go and grab land on their own. And so that's been the approach that we have been taking in Englewood. And finally, we've gotten sites, which Kenya and Julian will have their sites. And it's a little bit different than how they traditionally have been doing land reuse, which has been for community gardens, but not for farms, there's a distinction because one is for people who have actual businesses who are providing a good for the larger community, but also are selling those goods. So all of that is very important. And then the policy piece, the kind of meta level stuff is still very important to make sure that we have voice, because that's a space where there aren't as many Black folks who are talking about farming, who are talking about the issues, who are connecting the dots. So all of those things that we're involved in at Grow Greater Englewood, and we've taken a kind of a collective approach. And some of that has really transformed in this COVID time of being a lot more direct action and direct services than how it was prior to. So we could talk a little bit more about that as the needs in the community. And I think I heard Dad talk about that earlier around, during this COVID season, that there has been a lining, a silver or gold lining for, the need and the call to support Black-owned businesses, for people to become much more self-sufficient. So you see people who want to learn how to grow their own food, along with arm themselves. So all of them, and this level of independence. But there's also this piece around what capitalism or America does also provide people. I think that's what we're also wrestling with, the level of convenience that people want to have access to, and to, quote unquote, the market. So these things are dilemmas. And I think that they're worth us, having more public discussions about, because people are in business for a particular reason. They're not just doing all this work just to give all the food away. So I think these are things that are sometimes in contrast with each other. When you talk about farming, when you talk about agriculture, the history of us as Black people in this country, and not having that level of presence.
Well, thanks for a great introduction and a brief understanding to what you have been about in the city of Chicago and Grow Greater Englewood as an organization. I wanted to have you give us a deeper understanding of the structure of your organization and, the mission and some of its activities lately. But I think you already said some things, but during the show we'll definitely come to it. I wanted to go to Thad for the same question that I asked Julian earlier. To you, what does agriculture means? I mean, in spite of just being being in the business.
So, being a beekeeper, you can't have bees without agriculture. So,
exactly. Yeah.
Farmers and beekeepers should be in bed together every single day because that's what we need. So just get on a point that they talked about how agriculture started in Africa. This is where really when you talk about anything on this planet, it all started in Africa.
Right.
And so when you talk about agriculture, when you talk about seed balls, when you talk about just planting things, when you talk about bees, they all started in Africa. And so that's why I do what I do, because it gives me a connection to where I came from. And then I try and teach that to others, because beekeeping is it's taught. It's not learned. You teach it to the next generation. And that's what it always has been. It's not been written down somewhere. The white man wants it written down, but it's always been taught to the next generation. And so that's what I'm doing here. And then we talk about independence. You talk about growing things. I was with this group that we were talking front yard garden challenge, where you just grow your own food in the front yard. Because back during World War II, 50% of the food that was grown in people's front yards. So that's how this country was fed. People feeding themselves. And so now when when you talk about gardening, when you talk about agriculture, let's say if everybody on their block is gardening, so now everybody's on their block, somebody's growing one thing, somebody's growing another, you can trade, somebody's always on your block, so you know it's nice and safe. There's always something to do, somebody's always learning something. So agriculture is about community. It's about bringing people together to learn something, and then at the end of the day, you can share what you learned with others and still have plenty for yourself. And then that person that you shared it with, they can go to the next block and start the same thing. So now instead of having one, you have two.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
You said something tying bee to agriculture, and I know there's a saying that goes like when the last bee dies, the last man dies. I don't know if that's if that's correct, right?
That's absolutely true.
Okay.
When the last bee dies, the last man will be shortly after that.
So that is why what you do is very, very significant, and what you all do, and so it really ties into what we're talking about: beekeeping, agriculture, and all of that. Before we continue, want to acknowledge folks who are on Facebook at this moment. Priscilla was the name. Priscilla EBD Thomas says, good evening, viewing from Chicago. Thank you so much, Priscilla, for joining us this evening. Please share the feed, okay, so that you don't get to enjoy the show all by yourself.
That's
okay?
my sister. Hi, sis.
Oh, okay. So Thad has a sister in the house. We're waiting to see if Kenya's sister or Kenya's siblings will pop up too. So Julian and Kenya, you got to get on your siblings to show up. Annie,
I'm sadly, I'm an only child.
great. Annie Mallory says,
But Julian and I have 6 children.
Can you say that again?
I said, I'm an only child. So, but Julie and I, we have 6 children together. Right. So that's kind of how I saw that.
Great comeback. I love it. Love it. Anne Mary says, amen. The blessings of the Lord will bring wealth and he adds no trouble. Rebecca says, great job. Thank you so much, Rebecca and Annie, for joining us. She says, Annie Marie continues to say, elderberries improves eyesight. Okay. Elderberries improves eyesight. Okay. Okay. Kenya and Julian are nodding to that. Anton, is that true?
Are you asking me, does elderberry improve your eyesight?
Yes. we asking the farmers. So I think this lady is into she's talking about how this thing she's saying this. So I'm just trying to get from the farmers, since you're into it, maybe you can approve it or not. I mean, you're not doctor.
Well, I don't know about the eyesight. I mean, that's new news to me, but I know that it's a great antiviral medicinal herb that you can use and integrate, in particular now that the season is, and you've seen this kind of, the sambuca, which is the name of the elderberry plant, has a really high, usage. And what DUSABLE has done is also integrate that with CBD. So being able to start with, some of the early piloting that they've been doing. So, my role is to make sure to help lift up all of these different kinds of groups that are emerging, to support them. And to get them at a higher platform. That's part of the network building that, my work is about. And it's also about the larger connectivity between the urban, suburban, and rural communities.
Okay.
We have really good mentors with Fred and Jafun Zakarta and some of the Pembroke farmers. So no, go ahead. I know you're jumping in. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I want to. I wanted to go through our Facebook audience, and then we can come back to you. Okay.
That was a long answer to that one question you asked.
because you're obviously not the right person to be asking that question. No, but thanks for your response. Great evening with great people. Arshia Hasna says, interesting topic. Thank you so much for helping and for supporting always. Arshia of NFB, Empowering Women NFB. Jackie Monet says, how do you plan on teaching it to the next generation if you are not already doing that. So I guess that's a question that we'll probably have you respond to in a little bit. Ate Akrong, my brother, Pastor Ate, nice seeing you and Gideon yesterday. Great guy. He says we are here. Okay, so I'm assuming you were there with either your family or Gideon. But either way, thanks so much, Pastor Ate, for joining. Please share the feed whilst you were here. And then Jackie continues to say they don't offer this to our children and it's needed. So I guess and then Priscilla says third, my Westside brother. All right, okay. So
I got a lot of fans out there
already. Yeah.
We were trying to get Thad to be in Englewood. I don't know what's up, Thad.
Hey man, you said that when you said elderberry, brother. Me and you go talk, man. As soon as you said elderberry, that's what. Because I got a honey water drink, and so yeah, we definitely need to talk.
You need to talk to Kenya and Julian. They're the ones who supply the elderberry. They're doing the vineyard and the farms, and so there's the connectivity, is what you were saying earlier around, bringing everyone together.
Mm-hmm.
That exactly. As
You
soon as
come
we
to
got out, I was going to reach out to them.
We'll be neighbors.
Well,
I say you come to Inglewood, we'll be neighbors.
Say that again.
I said if you came to Inglewood, we'll be neighbors, brother. You know what I mean? It'd be like a couple doors away. Get your elderberry, get what you need.
Gotcha, brother. Gotcha. Hey, but I've already bought a piece of property on the west side, so we can still have a satellite site. That's all right.
Well, in our plan, actually, for the site that Anton curated and presented to the city, all of the farmers have bees on our site. So you are a very important part of that.
Yeah. Okay, so looks like Anton is the man. He's the connector here. We definitely want to hear more from him with regards to what he does. In terms of bringing you all together, the challenges and all that. But we still want to be able to get into some of the nitty gritty of your work as urban gardeners. There, I know there's obvious challenges, but let's start from the community standpoint. How has the support been from the community? How has the community in which you're operating been receptive and supportive, if any, to your venture? And again, I'd like to start. Okay, let me start with that because I always go to the disciples. Samples. Sorry. Okay. So we'll start with that.
So and as far as in the communities that I deal with, beekeeping's kind of strange. It's a little weird, but people get excited about it because they just don't see a brother walk around with a bee suit all the time. It's just not something that they're used to. Mm-hmm. So it is very exciting for a lot of people. They're starting to come around. I'm actually in talks with a school. I think it's got 4 campuses that they want to start a beekeeping program. There's somebody down south that wants to start a beekeeping program. So it's really starting to take off, and something that I feel that people are very excited about because it's something that you just don't do every day. I mean, before I got into beekeeping, I never even thought about a bee, not once. Now it's something that I dream about on a regular basis. So the support for my work has been phenomenal.
Mm. Do you ever get apprehension from the community with regards to, bees? People, what if the stink people, right? There's also that side of the bee situation.
Always, there's always. So my people aren't really like they just say, oh, either they're going to come around or they're not. The other side, I've seen a school shut down. I've seen programs get stopped because one kid is allergic to a bee. Literally just shut down. So it all depends on where you're at. It all depends on the community that you're at. In our community, it's very well received. In other communities, it's a hit or miss.
Okay. Tell us about Westside Bee Boys, how the idea came and how long you've been running this.
So Westside B-Boys came about in 2014. I little bit about me. I got 2 felonies in my background, so I got some issues in my background. And when I was done, came home. I wanted to be, I had 2 felonies, 47 and black. Man, it's not a good thing living in the city. That's not a good thing living anywhere in the United States, especially here in the city of Chicago.
Right.
And so I used to sell newspapers on Michigan and Roosevelt, and I got to know a lot of bus drivers, and they have this program that you get to go through, and if you got felonies in your background, you get to go to this program, and then if you complete it, then you get a full-time job. So I'm thinking, go to CTA, benefits, full-time, driving, man, $55, $60 an hour, not a bad job.
Right.
But the universe said no. They got me in contact with a organization called North Lawndale Employment Network. I went through a program called U-Turn Permitted. I was president of that class in June of 2013, graduated from that class, and then I went to work for an organization still in North Lawndale called Sweet Beginnings. They do honey products. Now this is right around the time that Chicago was the murder capital of the world. I mean, they were shooting people. You come out your house and there's a dead body,
what was this, 2020?
No, this was 2013, man. This is where they were shooting people like
I'm talking mess. That
my
terrible that we have. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it's the same thing as was back then. And so NBC News came in to do a news story about Sweet Beginnings. We go out to O'Hare Airport, open up a hive, and I've been doing it ever since, man. I fell in love. So I worked for Sweet Beginnings for about 1.5 years as their apprentice beekeeper. And then 2015, they hired me as their head beekeeper. So I'm running 131 hives, 6 different locations. I'm teaching class. I am having the time of my life. It's been phenomenal. And then I helped to found the Hive. It's a beekeeping store on Roosevelt Road. I helped to found that. So it's the first all beekeeping store here in the city of Chicago. So what I talk about is entrepreneurship. That's what I really preach is entrepreneurship. Is everything like you said, everything starts with the bee, man. Everything that we're talking about all goes back to the bee. And so once you start talking about beekeeping, there's so many different rabbit holes that you can get into. That I just call myself a beachpreneur now. I do things that have something to do with bees, or an ecopreneur, anything that has to do with the ecosystem. I'm into.
Good.
So now what I'm doing is I don't like employees. I don't hire people. What I do is I train people to run their own businesses. Okay. I want you to be on your own. I don't want you to work for me because I'll abuse you if you work for me because I hate employees. But I will work with a business person who is on their money and wants to make their own.
Well, that's a powerful story. And the way you connected bee to the ecosystem, which is very true. Some of the details, how it actually works, is also very intriguing, and I'm inquisitive. I'm curious, and I want to know more. And I'm sure the audience would like to know how these things connect. How essential we know bee is essential to the ecosystem, but what are the details? How does it look like? How does it play out? We'll come to that.
Here, I'm going to give you an example of how important bees are to Illinois. I can't speak to any other place. So if you didn't know this, Illinois is the largest distributor of pumpkins in the country. If you buy a pumpkin in this country, it is an 80 to 85% chance it came from Illinois. I did not know that. Now that's there's billions of dollars into that. Now, in order to pollinate those pumpkins, you need to have a native bee called a squash bee in order to pollinate those pumpkins. And they are the main reason why squash grow in this area is squash bees. We don't hear about them because they're not sexy. They don't produce anything, but they are absolutely key to Illinois and its economy when it comes to squash and the generation of money in regards to farming.
Beautiful. I wanted to go to the samples. Is it okay to say Julian and Kenya? Just to make things okay.
That's cool.
All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, Julian and Kenya.
Yeah.
so we talked about how the communities has been being supportive or not to your business. I don't know if I gave you the chance to respond to that or not.
Yeah, I wanted to say something about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll be quick. So
Yeah, go ahead.
I want to, in a context of time, okay? We've been doing urban farming since 2009. Kind of been around long enough to have seen the tides of change. So it's very difficult in the beginning to get any kind of attention or real support from our community. People's attention and their interest, just our people are still dealing with the residue of, I guess, imposed shame from the slavery experience. A lot of young people don't, oh, that's, granny and grandpa, y'all trying to get us back. And then on top of that, the knowledge of how to prepare fresh foods into meals has been lost to a large degree. So a lot of our work, if I can continue to speak,
go ahead.
A lot of our work has been related to both setting up the templates within the city with community gardens and assisting here and there, but also a lot of our time went into educating the children. So for almost 4 years, our children went there. Our children are equipped with a significant amount of knowledge dealing with farming. We've touched, I think, many children's lives, because I think that's where the mindset really has to change. You can change some adults and middle-aged people and older people, but if you really want to make some substantial change, it really has to happen in the minds of our youth, and that's where the focus has been.
Okay.
Amen. Amen on that.
I don't know if Kenya wanted to add anything to that.
Well, I guess what I would like to do is just let you your viewers out.
Okay. All right.
We'll see our site here.
Okay. All right. That's fine. So let's go to Anton. Yeah. Let's try and hear from Anton what with regards to Anton. So how has
where to say about the site is that it is touching upon the.
Okay, so we'll come to them. I think they're trying to change their location. But Anton, can you still hear us?
I can still hear you. That's why I had to turn off my cam, because my Wi-Fi has been bugging.
Okay.
Since the kids have gone back to school, so I've been having the same issues.
All right.
So go ahead and shoot.
Okay. So we were talking about Julian and Kenya were making a very good point in terms of getting the youth into understanding or getting the youth interested in agriculture. As important as gardening and agriculture is to our society, it's obvious that the youth don't seem to be that interested. I mean, of course, now things are changing. The people are trying to educate them.
They have changed. So I've been around for a little bit. I started in this work up around 2005. And so I worked for a member of Congress. So we, to see all the different kinds of food entrepreneurs and stuff that kind of, has sprouted. I mean, some of the, stuff that you plant, you're not always, and nature and agriculture is a perfect metaphor. You don't know how many hands I touched and been able to make things the way that they are. Right. And the biggest one is that, the wind or the air, water, these elements are what is always ever present and moving. So I think what we've seen since 2005, when we started this work in the Farm Bill of 2007, to codify what, rightly or wrongly could be debated around food deserts. There's been an attention in our community around this intersection between, access to food, health and wellness, chronic health diseases, and entrepreneurship and, community wealth building.
Right.
That to me is some of the kind of intersection. And I think the other part is just the whole piece around resiliency in our own communities as well. So, how do we take care of the land? How does this become, these things are already present in terms of the cycle. And I think people like that and Kenya and Julian and so many So what we've seen over the last decade and a half is more and more people are attracted to this sector than there used to be. It only used to be a little handful of people.
Okay.
Now there are more and more, in particular, Black and brown farmers doing it in the urban setting, both in an intentional way and in terms of like making money. But you also see people who are just, farming or gardening in their own spaces.
Mhm.
And the reality is that for many people in Chicago, in particular Black Chicago, have always kept gardens. So I think that there's a misnomer that because we are an agrarian culture. I mean, 2 generations ago, many of the folks came from the South.
Mm-hmm.
So they always kept a little small garden if they were able to, have that level of stability, right? Because that's something that is a modern phenomenon. So oftentimes when I'm talking about this, it's interwoven with the history in which how we get to this place we are now, because it's going to be so important in terms of thinking about how we move forward. And so I think that this is the right time. I think people, and particularly young people, there are going to be even more increased avenues for people to, in particular young people, to learn these kinds of skills, because they're going to be also survival skills.
Okay.
So those are just some big highlights, I think, that are part of what, how this sector has grown so much.
Right. So grow, is it Grow Greater Englewood, right? That's
correct.
Good. Now, do you have a program that targets the youth, and which part of the city do you do that at?
So our work is specifically in Englewood. We do advocacy, but we've been working with the city around transforming lots into spaces for people like that. Because for entrepreneurs, that's the hardest part, is access to land management, water, all the kind of critical inputs infrastructure needs. And so part of our job is, one, the advocacy of, making the city pay for things, right? Yes. As a public investment, so that's something that's not always been, and that's not, it doesn't grab the headlines like, but it is an essential part of, how we see even the urban ag sector. Part of the reason we created Grow Greater Englewood was because we had a lot of white-led organizations doing the work. Like, they'll come in, they could be the farmers, they could do all of it. The level of privilege is what we weren't unpacking. I mean, well, people like me were always like, I know what time it is. I ain't new to this kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So I speak all the different languages. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I knew that it's like, okay, but if you could afford to come and farm all day and you got your house still situated or apartment situated, that's a lot different than somebody who is doing this and this is their livelihood for 4 or 5 months, right? Just a lot different. The level of, and so I think what's been addressed, in terms of bringing these issues to the forefront, and then the allyship, I think all of that has shifted too, is in terms of nonprofits' roles in this space. So, and I think you have to be able to stay flexible and nimble. So, our work is in particular working with the city, trying to figure out ways around land reuse, around stewardship, in which we use stewardship as opposed to just ownership. But we use stewardship in a sense from a spiritual standpoint, because you ain't taking the earth with you, you're returning to it. And so that is always going to be a universal. You can own something in an American empire sense, no doubt about it. And we are definitely about community wealth building.
Right.
But beyond that, there's a sense of how you take care of the earth, because you're not going to take it. You have to nurture it, and you're going to pass it on to the next generation, because we're not going to be here forever. Right. So what have our efforts left this space in a better place? So those are concepts that I think part of our work to bring into community. And I think community, and I just say, I will close with this, Englewood has shifted so much over the last 15 years. You have, when people talk about the declining number of Black people in the city of Chicago, you see it in these kinds of communities where, you used to have thousands upon thousands of more folks. That is, you can see the noticeable difference in terms of size.
Right.
Some who are a little old, right? Which is pretty much everybody here, Okay. And so I think we're at the point where we're trying to reimagine what these neighborhoods will look like in the next 20, 25 years, and be self-determinant ourselves and leading.
That is awesome. Thanks for elaborating on that. It's very important that we get the youth involved in all of this because, like you said, we're not going to be here. They are the next generation. Our food is our medicine. That's the reason why we have a lot of health issues in our communities, and so we got to address this. Um, a sister that I was communicating with today, actually, she said something that I really wanted to read out. She said, I said, brother, I'm not going to be able to make the show today, but I have a few things I want to share with you. And she says, proper knowledge and understanding of food and science and how to eat and how to eat would prevent and even cure so many of the diseases that are prevalent in our communities. So the cooks of our homes are either trained to heal or unknowingly, unfortunately, trained to kill. Like when I read that, I'm like, and then she went on to say, she said, it starts with learning the value and importance of agriculture and growing your own foods, producing all your own uncontaminated soil and seed. And then this part that she talked about, that I have to look for that. I have to look for that. But then she made all this very, very salient points. And we do have a couple of people commenting on Facebook. So we would like to go on to our Facebook comments, read some of them, and then come to it. But before that, I know Kenya, you've been listening keen on this. You've been listening the whole time Anton was speaking. Did anything jump at you that you want to comment, or anything that you personally want to share before we go on our Facebook feed?
Well, recently, I have been teaching. I teach 2 courses with Urban Growers Collective, and I would like to really shout out Anton because he is the reason why we even had an opportunity to literally bring something that we cared about to the community. But just touching back on the youth, just quickly, because I don't want to take up a lot of time, but I think it is very important. And what I'm teaching my youth in a lot of our programs is I'm teaching them about 100-year plans. So I'm literally working, and Julian and I are working. And when you're working in agriculture and environmentalism, and kind of in our farming is biodynamic farming, we're focused on what are we leaving behind? What is our 100-year plan? And I think that's something that I think everyone in the audience should be asking. What is your 100-year plan? What is your plan for the day? What is your plan for the month? What is your plan for the year? What is your 5-year plan, your 20-year plan? And then honestly, really dig deep to figure out what are you leaving here on this earth for the next 100 years? So that's what I would add. Now,
Personally, has your organization, I mean, your company, DUSABLE City Ancestral Winery, be involved in? And I know you said you've been trying to get the youth in, but how are you doing? Are you working with the city? Do you go to school, or trying to get community that has youth programs to basically enroll them into the farming, gardening, and urban gardening that you guys are involved in?
Well, to be very honest with you, I think the education piece started from us, like Julian said earlier, in the very beginning in 2008, when we were really talking about this and trying to figure it out. We had a lot of pushback from our community. People really thought that gardens bring a lot of like rodents and pests to the area, and it's actually quite the opposite. And so originally our first thought was, we have 6, well at that time we had 4 or 5 children, and we wanted to teach them something. We wanted to get them out of the city for fresh air. We wanted to give them a life skill. We wanted to connect them with the earth. And Julian arranged for us to start a apprenticeship with Nakai Miller down in Pembroke. And that's kind of where it all started for us. We saw that there were gaps in that food system and the reality of how do we now curate all of what is happening in Pembroke and then bring it here to Chicago. And at that time, there wasn't a lot of availability around refrigerated trucks and the capacity and the scale to do that. Fortunately, we had the Healthy Food Hub where we had a lot of training ground. So once we kind of realized all of those gaps, Julian and I created an organization called Soillutions. And that organization was an educational program in which we created a curriculum that was a 4-season curriculum. We wrote on aquaponics and economics, entrepreneurship. We worked with Emmanuel Pratt, where we would have classes going to the Chicago State aquaponics lab. Julian and I also invested in taking advantage of a lot of Barack's programs with the solar panel installations and energy auditing, and just a lot of that kind of capacity building in ourselves. That in turn led to the education and us really trying to connect the network. And a godsend in that early on was Anton Seals when he came to see us, I guess about 10 years ago. He came out to the farm.
Sana.
Yes, go ahead.
Sana.
Yes.
I can just say this one thing. Like, look, we didn't get a chance to talk about it much. I'll be quick again.
Go ahead.
Some of the things that we're most proud of, I mentioned it earlier. We taught at an independent Black elementary school. Okay. Our children attended the school. We taught urban farming there the entire time. So we were able really to touch, I'd say maybe about 200 children on a regular basis. Also, the food that we were growing in the garden was supplying the children's lunches, which is something that, you know, I used to dream about, and it actually came into reality. So I think that things like that have to be more of a focus and a part of our plans, you know, of course, because they are our future. And that's all I want to say.
And then, we also had a chance to work with Beth Shabazz International Charter School, where we taught several years, and we have operated their community garden that was like really supplying a lot of the parents, and the children were just completely wild with the whole thing. And even just to share an experience that we had, one day I took about 200 children down to Pembroke, Illinois, and they were literally going crazy. They were like, everyone is like, what is wrong with the kids? And I stood back and something just said to me, they have not had this quality of fresh air before. So, realizing that moment that the kids were just kind of had so much oxygen that their bodies were just bouncing off the walls. And I was like, it makes sense because we have such a reduced quality of oxygen here. And this kind of ties into the environmental piece that Dad is really referring to. That, you realize that we need more trees to be planted. That is, that's
okay. Yeah, I we understand. You are in your gardening, I assume, right? You guys are in your garden, right?
I think they put their on mute. Yeah.
So you guys are in your garden, so that's why we're getting feedback from your background, right?
Yes, okay, yes, we're outside, just outside.
Those trees passing.
Yeah, you were enjoying the weather. No, it's fine. It's beautiful. It's 3 minutes past 7 p.m. You're listening to the Progressive Mind Show. We are talking about feeding. We're talking on feeding the community. Your food is your medicine. You are what you eat. If you just joined us, please help to share the feed for folks who are on Facebook and YouTube. My guest this evening, Julian and Kenya Sample, owners of DUSABLE City Ancestral Winery. We have brother Thad Smith, owner of Westside BOYZ. And then we have Anton Seals, who's executive director of Grow Greater Englewood. To my guest, you have been awesome. Thank you so much for your contributions, the questions, the comments. We would have our guests respond to your questions when we come back from this break. However, before we go, actually, whilst you're on break, I would want you to all to share the feed. If you haven't shared the feed yet, please go ahead and do so. Like I said, we are live on the YouTube page as well, which is the Progressive Mind Show. Please go ahead and share the feed now so we can get this important message out to the community. The essence of growing our food, the essence of urban gardening in our communities, very, very, very crucial. You got to be part of the conversation, and your part is to share, if nothing at all. Thank you so much for being with us so far. We shall be right back.
You're listening to the Progressive Mind Show, your number one community building show in the world. Every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. CST, live on Facebook and YouTube. Join us as we discuss pertinent issues that relates to you and I with your host, Alinko.
You're welcome back to the Progressive Mind Show. This is where we hold on the community by engaging you and I in pertinent conversations such as this. If you just joined, please help share the feed if you haven't done so yet. Your sharing helps to promote the positive message, to promote these guys who are doing awesome work in the communities. Their contribution is enormous, and you may not be able to go and help them do a thing or two, but your sharing their message goes a long way in you contributing to the community building process. We got to build our own. And so thank you so much for helping to do so. For those who have already done that on the show, thank you so much. If you haven't done it, we encourage you to do that. My friend, my good old friend, Soshi Victorious is here. She says, love this show. I'm going to come to Soshi in a little bit. But Soshi, thank you so much for joining us. You're still listening to the Progressive Minds. Thad Smith is here. Julian and Kenya from DUSABLE City Ancestry are here. We would like them to tell us more about their company. I mean, it says Ancestry Winery. Does it mean they make wine? We don't know. So we would want them to share that with us, right? But before we do that, I know Anton is still listening. Anton, you've been silent for a little bit. I don't know when. While we're talking, I don't know if you wanted to make a comment or respond to anything that any of the guests said before we went on the break. If you do, please go ahead and we can continue with the discussion this evening. Okay, can you hear me, Anton? Okay, I think we lost them. All right. Okay, so let's do this. Okay, so let's try and get this comments from our audience. So she says, love the show. Thank you for chiming in. And the first question from Monet, I think, has been answered. She said, they don't offer, no, the question about if you are passing this information, this culture of farming and gardening to the next generation, I think it's been responded to extensively. So I hope, Jackie, that your question was answered satisfactorily. If not, you are here. Let us know. Then Ate, my brother Ate, says the youth are not so interested because there is little awareness. I believe that as the culture makes a shift from McDonald's fast food to being vegan and organic, this might be the right time to start school organized farms and classes where these kids are actually able to farm and eat their own work, or even sell it to make money for the school. This is the most brilliant comment I've seen and heard. This is great. I mean, all the comments are great, but this is brilliant. What do you guys? What's your response to that, Thad?
So first of all, I love little entrepreneurs. They are. Let me tell you, when you teach a kid when you make them responsible for something, and then you say, hey, you can actually make money for what you did and you like to do it, you get them excited, not just about just entrepreneurship, but you get them excited about themselves. They become more confident in who they are. They start to learn more. They start to reach out more to other people to learn their craft. And then when they do that, then they meet other people. Then they might find something else that they like. And so getting kids into entrepreneurship early on will expose them into so many different things that they will find what they love to do. Doesn't have to be, like I said, you don't have to like bees. Not saying you're going to like bees, but if you kick it with me, you're going to meet a lot of different people, man, and you'll find something that you like, but you'll still like bees at the end of the day. So that's why I say it starts with the bee, baby.
No, that's thanks for the response. Julian, you wanted to respond? You wanted to add something to what my brother just said regarding?
I know that entrepreneurship is very important, and we've been able to do that intensively with our own children. And like Brother Tad said, it's really it's satisfying to see them perform and really chase opportunity when they see that there's some benefit that they can achieve. So specifically, we made lime and lemon drinks infused with herbs that we've grown here in our garden. Sold those at local events with our children. We've also we had a business called Mr. Herb's Pizza, where we sold at the African Fest here locally, and our children participated. So we've had some other instances too. So these are experiences where thank God for my wife. She's very creative. And she came up with both of those ideas that I mentioned. So both the pizza and the drink.
Right.
It's her idea. And we were able to implement that with our children and allow them the chance to be able to make money and sell to our own community in the process. So yeah, I think it's great. It's awesome.
But it's not just about making money though, too. It's about you got them out there. They got to speak to people. They get they get confidence in who they are. They're not selling a drink. They're selling themselves. When they're out there selling, bro, they're not selling whatever it is in their hand. It's not selling. They're selling themselves, and they get an opportunity to do that and in front of an audience. And that's the greatest feeling in the world when you sell something and somebody buys it. That kids take that to heart and say, man, I'm good. Constant reassurance that they're good at what they do. That's what we need to get these kids. Yeah, that's how we need to get these kids.
So good ideas. That's how we need to get these kids. How do we do that? I mean, do we have to work with the city? I know maybe Anton might be doing this already. And you guys are already doing it. So how do we even increase the awareness? How do we make it bigger and make it popular? Make it cool to be doing doing gardening and all of that as young kids. Kenya, you wanted to respond to that?
Well, I would like to add that I think I want to make sure Julian gets in here. Let me turn. Oh, there he is. I would add that through our experience, what we did find, there is a gap is the cross-sectionality of the diaspora. Like coming to the diaspora and asking the Nigerian community, do you want us to grow garden eggs for you? Coming to the Ethiopian community and asking them, do we want to grow their kale for them? And literally starting to explore all of these amazing culturally relevant and significant products that we literally can now find a way and build a bridge to communicate. So going deeper into the diaspora in the local community and finding out what they want from the from us as urban farmers and inviting them into those spaces. That's what we need to do.
Okay. Do you get some of the local restaurant owners coming to you for their ingredients and so forth, both in the diaspora and community? Do they come to you a lot?
Like, I don't want us to be talking all the time, but yeah, over the course of the last 12 years, we've taken many shots at different business models. So in the beginning, we were growing more conventional crops, but we also grew a lot of traditional crops native to Africa. So we sold to a lot of small Black business owners that own grocery stores and restaurants. All Chicago. So like Kenyon mentioned, the garden eggs are popular in West Africa.
Right.
So we were able to both give those products away, and we sold those products to local businesses. So
you were saying you work hand in hand with local restaurants, like African restaurants, Black restaurants, and all that. They come to you, you go to them, and that type of thing. That is a system that is running right now.
Yeah, and I do want to say this. I want to make this point to her point she made. What we found, and we haven't exploited this to a large degree, but what we found, and I'll give you specific examples, like in the Ethiopian restaurants, what we found is they substitute products that they can't get fresh here. So like gomen is like Ethiopian kale, which you can't find that here. All right, we grow it. So if a restaurant owner, you got that, I don't have to use local kale or collard greens to make my dish. Now I can use the real, I can use the real deal.
So now we get a more enriched cultural experience.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
I think what they found is when you talk about getting into, it's like I have a niche market. So they found a niche that they fit in. And then if you fit in that niche, you can exploit that niche to its maximum capability because you're really the only one doing it. Nobody else is, you don't have any competition. So that's really where you can stay in that lane and be good at that. And that's what I do. I mean, I'm trying to stay in my lane and be good in my lane. Can't step outside my lane, but be really, really good in my lane. Can't mess with my lane. So I like what they're doing, staying in that lane, finding that niche, and then exploiting that opportunity.
Good.
Even so, equally fair.
Yeah.
Great. And even so, as we find our niche and specialize and be expert in our niche, I think that what we do, even our niche, is for the greater good for the entire society. And we're also very concerned and interested in connecting, right? Connecting. So the Black community is huge. Our society is great. So even though we belong to a sect, we belong to diaspora, we can also affect other communities by what we do. And so as we find our niche, there's also the need for connectivity. So which is very awesome. And I know that, brother Thad, you've been working with. There are other. I know there are two Kenyan beekeepers. I don't know if you heard about them yet.
Yeah, there was a young lady that I met, but I haven't met the other one. But there's a young lady. I was trying to get her to come out to my apiary, but then the COVID hit, and that kind of ruined everything.
I think you met at our event, right? The African Diaspora.
Yes, that's where I met her. Yeah. And then she's got an event in November that I really want to go to, but again, I don't know how the COVID has affected that at all.
Great. And I'm still interested in you giving us the details of how bee is connected to the ecosystem. That connected, right? No,
Yeah,
not yet, not yet,
yeah,
not yet.
yeah.
I want to go to our audience because they have so many great points that I want us to respond to.
Okay.
We did respond to the one that has shifted from the McDonald's fast food mentality to vegan, which is very, very important. Arshia says, love the idea of, she says, love the idea of harvesting bees, fresh honey, yum. So, and then Soshi says, okay, thank you so much, Soshi. Soshi says, no, I think this is from Jackie. He says, Ate Akrong, there's only one school I can think of, and that's Chicago High School for Agricultural Sciences. This is a great time to start it in other schools. I agree that it's not so much that kids aren't interested. Maybe it is because it isn't presented to them in a way they would be eager to learn. Excellent
Yes.
point. Excellent point. Excellent point. Excellent point. So how do we do that? How do we present it to them in a way that will be appealing and sexy? Somebody used the word sexy. I don't know if it was Anton or
No, it was me. It was me.
that was you, Dad? Okay, that was
Yeah.
okay. Let me borrow that. And then she says, so she says, thank you for the off, but I haven't been home. Okay. So thank you so much for contributing to the show. Jackie says, how do we get these programs in our school? So these are questions that we ought to be asking and try to find answers to. And Acha says, please come and ask the Ghanaians to grow okra and peppers. Ghanaians, I don't know if I don't know if I'm aware of any Ghanaian who is actually into urban farming. Please forgive me if I'm not aware, but Kenya, I see you thinking. Do you have any in mind since you work with the diaspora a lot?
Oh, yes, I would reference the Urban Growers Collective. That is the program that I'm an instructor for. I'm also a participant as an Englewood Village farmer, as a Farmers for Chicago program, in which we have approximately 150 trees out there. So Urban Growers Collective has an amazing, diverse group. One of the beekeepers from Kenya is on that site and was trained through Erica's program, Erica and Laurel, and her name is Beatrice.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Beatrice is one of the loveliest people I've ever met. She is so sweet and so kind and just so authentic and genuine. So I look and learn a lot from Beatrice, and I love to see her come because she is very dedicated and serious about her practice.
All right.
Also have a friend who is in Anton's group who is from Uganda, and that's Mbweza. And of course, I grew up with friends of mine who are Igbo, and we're working on something where we're connecting what they're doing in Jamaica here in the city as well with sugarcane and moringa.
That's great. So to Mbwezu, you said that the name is from Uganda?
Yes.
So
Anton, she works for Anton.
Okay, so to Mbwenza and Beatrice, Beatrice, who is from Kenya, the African communities, those are my two Africans who are representing when it comes to urban farming. I'm very proud of you.
Yay to the beekeepers.
So that is to my beekeeper African sister. You got to represent us because I'm it looks like when you look at urban farming or urban gardening in Chicago, I mean, to me, I don't see a lot of Africans getting involved, and so it's refreshing to hear that there are a few, right? There are a few of them. It's very interesting, right? Because in Africa, farming is, is our way of life. We all farm, but of course, when we come here, we don't seem to be interested at all. It is funny, but the trend is changing. the essence of us growing organic food, like the things we eat, growing our own and feeding ourselves with it, is becoming super, super essential, because a lot of the diseases and sicknesses that is killing us is all attributed to our diet, right? And so let's see if you can connect that. And that takes us to this very important point that my sister Amani sent to me prior to the show. She says, praise God, your current topic is very timely and necessary. We must produce and consume our own food. Agriculture is the new med school. We must realize we are doctors in our kitchens. Man, when I read this, that man, like I was done. Especially the last part, the last line. We must realize we are doctors in our kitchen. That is a powerful quote. That is powerful. And how essential is that? Now, before we go to that, before we go to the essentiality of the, let's connect. I want us to connect our food, and let's talk. Let's emphasize a lot on how we feed ourselves as Black people. But before that, Ancestral Winery, apart from gardening, do you make wine as well? And what type of wine do you make?
Well, we're on I think our third or our fourth vintage. We've done like really a lot of floral sparkling wines. For example, our last batch was like a lilac.
I think because we're getting feedback, so I just want to wait till. Okay, great. I'm sorry, I had to mute. I know you had a feedback. I mean, the background noise because you're outside. That's why I had you muted. So please go ahead.
Well, our last wine was a very floral lilac rose wine. So we've been experimenting a lot in that way. Okay. I was able to take a class with Urban Growers Collective, and that's kind of how our tinctures came about. And our tinctures are really booming. I mean, they are doing really well. So the tinctures are like $25. This is an example of our 2-ounce bottle that is $50, and it lasts about 2 months. So when it comes to the wine, and we want to get that high quality CBD $100 bottle of wine, that's going to take a little more work. Just don't rip off $100 bottles of wine. So it takes a lot of lab work. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of cultivation. It takes a lot of trial and error. All the kind of learning the different yeasts that are involved, and not letting the wild yeast mix with the champagne yeast. And, it gets really
very complicated.
Technical. So
I got you.
I would definitely say for the holiday, wine is not.
All right, Brother Thad.
See, now with me though, I can do mead. I don't need any of that stuff. So you can make mead from honey, which is the original alcohol on the planet. This is what our ancestors used to drink in the original, is mead. So with mead, you can have different types of honey.
No, Thad, what is mead?
Oh, so mead's a honey wine. It's you make wine from honey, is what mead is.
Do you make that?
I am in the process of making my first batch right now.
Okay. All right. So
that is another type. Yeah, that's just another type of alcohol. That's just a type of alcohol that you can make with honey.
And you said you were giving us a little history of mead. I'm sorry, I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah. So mead is so the Vikings used to drink mead. What's significant about mead is all religious groups can drink mead because it's not made from corn or barley. In every Bible, Torah, whatever, you can't drink alcohol that's made from barley or corn. But mead, every single religion can drink that because it's made from honey. When you talk about the land of milk and honey, that's what you're talking about, the land of milk and honey. So that's why honey has been such a significant food source throughout the history of our time because it's so precious. It's not everybody knows beekeeping, you know, so there's only a few of us who really know how to do beekeeping. So it's a very, very finite and precious commodity.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And I would add that, you know, when you really think about honey and a lot of our food, touching back on what earlier comment of the sister was saying about food being our medicine, honey was originally used as a medicine. And even currently today, like if my children get a scrape or a gash or some kind of wound there, I immediately cover it with organic honey. And it never, ever gets infected when something is covered in honey.
Wow. Wow. Great point.
Absolutely correct.
Brother Thad, I want to find out from you, how does it work? We can walk us through the bee processes, the processes, right?
Yeah. So you're talking about the beekeeping season, really, pretty much. So, so bees go to California in January and February to pollinate almonds.
Oh my
That's a
God.
whole different subject that I will talk about later. That's a soapbox subject that I won't get on. But in around March or April, bees start shipping from California all across the country. So if it's April, I don't care if there's 13 inches of snow on the ground. There are bees coming to Chicago in April. It's just going to happen. It's just going to happen. You're going to have to worry about what you're going to do with them later. So there are 2 ways to start a hive, 3 ways to start a hive. You can buy a package, a 2-pound or 3-pound package. You can do a nuke, which is a 2, 3, 4, 5 frames of bees, an egg laying queen and larvae, or you can catch a swarm. Those are 3 ways you can get a beehive. So throughout the season, for here in Chicago, beekeeping season in earnest, April, May, anywhere between May to September, that's when a lot of the forage is coming out. So early on, what I tell people is don't cut your dandelions, because that is the first resource for every single bee on this planet. Dandelions are food. They are good for this earth. Do not cut dandelions. That's what the bees really, really need to start the season off. It gives nectar and it gives pollen. So please tell your people, don't cut dandelions. And actually, dandelions have really good honey too. If you really get enough of it, you can get really good honey. So pretty much we do inspections. We can do our first harvest of honey in like late July. And then we do our next harvest, our last harvest of honey in, I want to say, the end of September. It just all depends on you. Once we do that, kind of start. So what I do is let's say if I take 40 pounds of honey from a hive, I will then feed them back 40 pounds of sugar water so that I didn't steal, I didn't steal anything. I'm replacing what I took from them. It was their surplus, but I want to make sure I can get them through the winter time. Once it gets cold, you button it up and pretty much hope they make it through the winter. That's your beekeeping season.
Well, no, bro, you run through this thing too quickly for me. I'm
sorry, my fault. Yeah, my fault.
So you said, even how you feed them. Okay, you say you feed them by what? Giving them some sugar water?
Yeah. So in the beginning, so let's say springtime's coming and we're opening up a hive. So they may have used all their resources from the wintertime. So what we do is we feed them sugar water. And sugar water is nectar. Nectar is all it is sugar water. That's all it is. And so we feed them that sugar water so they can convert that into honey so that they are able to propagate the hive. That's what the purpose of feeding them the sugar water is. It's you giving them honey, they make it into honey, and then the queen can then lay eggs, they can make wax, whole lot of things that they can do, because there's no nectar when springtime first starts. There's really not a lot of nectar out there. A lot of people are trying to cut the dandelions down. So we want to make sure they make it until the first blooms. And that's the purpose of feeding sugar water.
So sugar water, any type of sugar, you can just any type of sugar, or is it specific sugar?
No, you want to have cane sugar. You don't want to have beet sugar. You want to have cane sugar, because if you cook that and you heat it up, it becomes poisonous to the bees. So there's a certain type of sugar that you want to feed them. And
That's
so
great.
in the springtime, I feed them 2 to 1. So it's 2 sugar to 1 cup of water. And in the wintertime, you feed them 1 to 1. That's 1 cup of sugar, 1 water. So in the springtime, we want them to make sure that honey's good. The wintertime, we just want them to have it for their resources through the winter. So it's not as important for it to be as sweet, so to speak.
So where do you keep them? Do you keep them on top of your roof? Do you have like a farm, like a whole enclosed area that you keep them? How is it?
Yeah, so they're called, I keep them at what's called an apiary. And so this year I had my apiary at Sweetwater Foundation. I know you had mentioned Emmanuel Pratt, and so I've been working with him all year long.
Mm-hmm.
They have a beautiful farm. When you talk about an ecosystem that is absolutely gorgeous, that's what you talk about. It is a wonderful jewel on the south side of Chicago that not a lot of people know about. I'm telling you, this place is popping.
Okay, tell us especially what's the address? What's the address? Where exactly is that?
Yeah, so Sweetwater Foundation. It's 57th Perry. That's where my bees are. So that's where it's a one huge city block of a farm. So
57 and Perry, you said. Okay.
Yeah. The 2 blocks from the expressway, going
west.
No, going east. 2 blocks east of the expressway.
Okay, great. And Sweetwater, is it Sweetwater Garden?
Sweetwater Foundation is what the name of it's called.
Okay, I think I heard that before. So my brother just joined us. Okay, so Sister Maggie Lubia says, Beatrice Kamau, our Kenyan beekeeper. Thank you, Beatrice. Sorry, Maggie, for joining us. Kudos to Beatrice. We give her a thumbs up. Maybe we'll give her another thumbs up again. Yay! Beatrice, you are the bomb. You rock. Thanks.
I did. Can I ask Ted a question?
In a little bit. Let me. Okay. Sorry for that. So Eben just joined us. John Oben from all the way from Texas just joined us. Thank you for chiming in. And then he says, interesting revelation about organic honey. Thanks for sharing. Obviously that was I'm intrigued. I wish we can just talk about bees.
Hey Beatrice, how you doing?
Hey, everybody saying hey Beatrice. You heard her name so many times she had to join the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Brother Anton, please go ahead with your question. I'm sorry about that. Brother Anton? No. It was from DUSABLE. That was Julian. Okay, I thought it was Anton.
Yeah. Okay, all right. I wanted to ask, Tad, we grow Sudan grass, sorghum, and I wondered if you may be interested in doing an experiment maybe next year, where the sugar water that you make it out of the sorghum, like the pressed sorghum. You run it through a press, you collect the juice, and we can hand it off to you, see what you can do.
Man, I am down with, like I said, I'm down with anything. I know about bees. I don't know about agriculture. So if you think it'll work, man, I can work with you, brother. Let's not talk about it. Let's be about it.
All right. So tell us the nature of bees. Again, I'm interested in how they help the ecosystem. So bees go, they feed on the flowers, they feed on wood, and then how did they connect with the ecosystem? You know about it. Please educate.
So you got to remember. So we talk about. When I talk, this question I always ask: why do we talk about the honeybee all the time?
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason why we talk about the honeybee all the time is because of money. The only reason why that keeps coming up over and over again. But there are 20,000 species of bees on this planet that we don't talk about. Okay. Let's say the squash bee. Nobody knows about the squash bee. Mm-hmm. Bees are very specialized. You have bees that are anywhere from 2 millimeters, like a sweat bee, to like 12 millimeters, which is a bumblebee. So there's so many different bees on this planet. And then each bee, let's look at it this way. Bees don't pollinate roses because their tongues aren't long enough. So those are pollinated by butterflies. Tulips are pollinated by butterflies and moths. So different flowers are pollinated by different bees. There are some flowers that are only pollinated by a specific bee. And if that bee's not around, that flower won't get pollinated. So you have to remember the ecosystem is based upon what's around. So when you talk about honeybees fly anywhere between up to 5 miles. But when you talk about native bees, they only fly anywhere between 200 meters and 1,200 meters. So it's really important for them to have forage, within a block of where they lay their eggs. And so it's important to have these little, like I said, Sweetwater Foundation, these little oases in the city, so that these native bees can propagate, so that we can take those eggs and then use those throughout the city, so that we can repropagate the native bees here that we're losing over the past 20 years. Native bees have declined somewhere around 80%. So it's important that we pay attention to the native bee as well as the honey.
I think we will dedicate a show for the bee, all right? And so we can their story is such soothing to me. I just love it, and I think all the audience are intrigued too, and we are learning, because like you said, we don't talk about them. As important as they are to our very existence, we don't even consider, talking about them. But it is very important. These are essentials to life, and this is why we do what we do. You're still watching the Progressive Mind Show here on Facebook. We're also live on the YouTube page. You can go ahead and share the feed now. Empress Maushi just joined us. Empress Maushi just joined us. She says, please share the feed. Empress, my sister, great lady, owners of Trend Africa TV. Great job you're doing, and also the host of Hododio's show. We are talking to this great community farmers. Thad Smith B is the CEO of WESTSIDE BOYZ. Julian and Kenya are the owners of DUSABLE CD Ancestral Winery. We would like them to tell us about their specific products, the prices, or how you can get it, and all of that. Anton Fields is also, maybe we'll just give it a nickname, the Community Garden Connector. He does everything. He's he's executive director with Grow Greater Englewood. He was on the show. Anton, can you still hear us? Okay, while we wait for him to connect with us audibly, Jackie says, where can I buy your honey from, Thad?
Oh, well, I'm a selfless promoter of myself. So let me start.
Yeah.
So every Saturday, I'm at the Division Street Market from 7 to 12. Every Sunday, I'm at the Pilsen Market. That's on 18th and Blue Island from 9 to 3. Every other week, this past Sunday, I was at Wicker Park. So in 2 weeks, I'll be at the Wicker Park Farmers Market. I'm there every other week. And if the city works with us, will the Bronzeville Farmers Market, which just ended last week, it may be extended to the 28th of October, and I'm hoping. And so there's a couple of markets that are in the underserved communities that I'm in that I hope that they continue on to the 28th. So I'll hear something about them this week, and that's going to be Bronzeville, 12 to 4 on Sundays.
Okay, thank you so much for that response, and I'm sure that that would be what's the name, Jackie. I'm sure that was satisfactory to you. If not, you can always reach, and I'm sure you have a website.
Yeah, I'm at westsidebboys.com. You can always go me. Yeah, my schedule's there.
And I know you have a couple different products there too. But let's go to the point where we're connecting food with our health as Black people. So when COVID hit, Black people, we're invincible. It's not going to affect us. Then all of a sudden, well, wow, we're the group of people that's dying most off of COVID, and then it went on and on. But the most important thing here is because we have underlying conditions, diabetes, this, that, and high blood pressure. Is it true that a lot of these diseases and things and diseases that we Black people endure is through the food that we eat? If it's true, how does agriculture and farming, local farming, help curb this situation? Brother Seals, can you still hear me? I know I'm communicating with him backstage, and I know he's here, but somehow he cannot hear me. Okay, he still can't. Okay, but okay, the two of you, let's help us connect it, because I say this is the most crucial part of this whole discussion of the show tonight. To me, our health is essential. How do we connect the two? And I'll start with you. And I know, beautiful Kenya, sweet lady, I know you've been cooking all the food in our kitchen. Help us understand how our food is essentially our medicine and how it's affected our health. First of all, do you agree that most of our health problems is as a result of the food we eat?
Yes, I would say that, all chronic diseases, all those chronic illnesses that you've named are definitely a result of the food that we eat. And because of my work with Anton, I had a really real life experience working with the University in Chicago, their asthma program, and also as a part of their cardiology team. And when I was able to work in those programs, I worked with, as a community health worker, with patients who had just had procedures or different cardiology or pulmonary related things happening, and I would be able to go in their homes. And what it all came down to, their success was all based upon their diet. And I really saw it was so heartbreaking when I look back at that moment, because what I found is that a lot of times we have forgotten and lost the art form of eating so that it heals us. And a lot of times it goes back to the diversity in our diet, the diversity of our ecosystem. And if you look at the healthiest group in the world, that group is located in, I think, the eastern part of Africa. And the reason why they're so healthy is because of their diet being so diverse. And we don't have a diverse diet here in America. What we really see tragically in our food in our stores is a monolithic kind of thing really happening, where people are monopolizing like our tomato crops. So if you wanted to say, I want to go into a business where I do a large scale production of a hot sauce or ketchup that I want to make, I'm only going to be able to go through Red Gold tomatoes. So when you see companies like Red Gold, you see across the board, they make ragu, they make every tomato sauce you have, because they literally have the capacity and scale to put out products like that. So those kind of things stop the growth of small farmers and stop the beauty of having truly a diverse food system and people accessing a multitude of different tomatoes versus just one commercial grower with spreading a blanket across that. And I hope I didn't go too way out with that, but it's a big topic.
It is. Brother Anton, can you still hear us? Okay. We will try and get him in. It's 7:40. We're supposed to take a break at 7:45, but please bear with us. We will take a short break now. When we come back, we still want to talk about. I mean, we're almost done with the show. So if you're still logged on, we appreciate your time. I know it's been almost 2 hours now talking about this, and it's very, very crucial. And we so appreciate your time with us so far. Those who have shared the feed, we so appreciate it. Please, if you haven't, share the feed now as we go on this short break. When we come back, we definitely will be talking about feeding our community. Your food is what you are, what you eat. Stay tuned. We shall be right back. Welcome back to the Progressive Mind Show. I'm your host, Senna, aka Alinko. This is where we hold the community down in deliberating on the issues that matter to you and I. Thank you for being part of the show so far. Those who have joined us on the Facebook and YouTube pages, we are so grateful. Please keep sharing so that we can get the message of feeding our community to the public, and also helping to promote this great gentlemen who are sharing their story and their business with us. Brother Anton, can you still hear me? All right. I know I'm communicating with him. He's here with us, but for some reason he can't hear me. It's very frustrating, but we'll keep trying until we get him to join us. Now, we are Progressive Minds is kindly asking the community to donate to us. If you have Cash App, it's the $ Senna Alinko, and that's how you can find me, Senna Alinko. We have 501c, so our contributions it's tax deductible. It goes a long way in helping what we're doing here. So please go ahead and support us. Support. Send cash the $ Senna Alinko for Cash App. You can also go on the website, which is theprogressivemindshow.com. Theprogressivemindshow.com. Go ahead and make a donation to us. In a nutshell, we would be wrapping up with this topic this evening. So Brother Anton can hear me, but we cannot hear them. Brother, I'm trying again. Can you hear us?
It looks like that you're leaning forward.
Oh, okay.
With your neck sticking out.
Oh, does it? I can't.
Can we, Brother Seals, can you hear us? Yeah, it looks like he can, but but we cannot, bro. I see your comment as you responded. You can, but for some reason we are not able to hear you.
There you go. Now I'm in the show.
Okay.
They need me back in the show, man. I paid a whole $10 Scotch tape with a razor blade taped to my collar.
Oh, we are so sorry. So I don't know. I think we run into some tech because
It's all right. It happens, man. I had to move around a bit, so it's on me, man. This is a good show I can come back to.
Right, great. Thank you so much for coming back. But we were talking about the essence of what we eat and our health. Can you help? Can you help connect it? And why is it that we are not necessarily focusing on eating well? Is it because we cannot afford the organic vegetables and food? What is it?
Man, that's a big topic.
But in a nutshell,
part of it, the basis of health is behavioral. So there's habits and environment. So the access to and cultural ties. So it's not even the access; there's just the culture of like how your mom and daddy raised you, what you were raised eating, and then also making a conscious choice to make to make other choices. Often though, people dealing with chronic health diseases end up waiting until the disease is, chronic, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is the habit that, and I can't stand above this because it's something I'm actually struggling with in terms of, health wise and making sure that you eat properly. I think I do that, but you end up being so busy. I know a lot of people are just working.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes my work is like, meetings, essentially. Like my life is a meeting. It feels like in writing, and doing a lot of the connecting. So you have to be able to be conscious to put those kind of things into your day to day. And I think that is a struggle for a lot of people that live somewhat quasi. And then you also have, your genetics as well that plays a big role in it. So what you're disposed to and things that your body may be very sensitive to, that you just aren't aware of. So all of these are factors that play into the overall health in our community. And then there's just the mental strife of, being Black. It's a stressor. You know what I mean? You got to do a lot of, you have to be really, creative. So there are a lot of there aren't all of these different straight paths. So I think by creating more access to fresh fruits and vegetables does have an impact. But just because you build it doesn't mean they're all going to come. but it does mean that some will, right? So there are people who are focusing and who are taking on vegan diets. So you do see a level also of people who are also, taking their health as a priority. And that means also taking time for yourself as a priority, right? And often people are in service in our community and are serving their families, taking care of others. And they also have to be able to make sure they're taking care of themselves. So I think there's just a lot of factors in that. And I think our role in this sector is to be able to bring more nutritious offerings into spaces. So like what Kenya and Julian are doing around using elderberry or ashwagandha or CBD. These are things that integrated with a proper diet and also with, healthy, with a lot of activity, will help the overall health in our community.
Right. Thank you so much for helping with that. We have about 5 minutes to go. But Ted, I think somebody wanted your website. Can you just type the website in that box? That way, I think that somebody was requested for your website. So if you can help with that, that'll be great. But let's try and see if we can dive into that a little bit more. He mentioned, I still believe that we as a people have to take a conscious decision or take conscious efforts in paying attention to what goes in our body. I think most of the time we don't even know. Chicken tastes good. It doesn't matter where I buy my chicken from. And so whatever I eat, it tastes good. It smells good. I go to Chinese restaurant, it smells good. It tastes good. I eat it. But what's the difference between just eating anything from the fast food joints and restaurants versus the ones that we grow and take time to make ourselves? How important and crucial is that, Brother Thad? You want to help respond to that?
So really, when you talk about growing stuff, it starts with the soil, brother. It starts with the soil. If you got crappy soil, you're gonna get crappy product. So you really, like they say, you have to cultivate the soil.
Right, but the thing is, before you even cultivate the soil, people are not even trying to cultivate the soil. I mean, you have to have the interest to grow your food in the first place to want to cultivate soil. I think what I want us to do is deal with the barrier. That barrier, the thing that is preventing us from, eating right, wanting to eat right.
So I'll tell you the reason why. If you look in our neighborhood, what is the most prevalent thing you find in your neighborhood? You're gonna find that corner store, and in that corner store, there was one rack of nothing but potato chips. There is one rack of another kind of potato chips. Then there's another rack of nothing but sweets. And then you look in the cooler. There's nothing but racks of soda, juice. That's what we do. We go in, we grab that 25-cent juice and that 25-cent bag of chips. And that's what our kids eat on a regular basis. That's what they grow up with every day.
Why is that?
Because it's cheap, it's easy, it's fast, and that's all that's in our neighborhood. Say that again, Brother Seals.
I said Hugs and Flaming Hots. It's the Chicago diet.
There you go. That's it. That is it. And that's why you got all these people with this high blood pressure, because that's what's in your neighborhood. That's convenient. When you go into school, you pass one of these stores. When you walking down the street, you pass one of these stores. Everywhere you go in your neighborhood, you pass one of these stores. You're not passing a fruit stand. You're not passing a green stand. You passing one of these little stores. And if it's not one of those stores, it's a liquor store. So you got two choices in your neighborhood: fructose syrup or alcohol. And then they both sell nicotine. So that's what our neighborhoods are. But when I live up in Uptown, man, I can go down to Target, Jewel, or another store and get all the fresh stuff I want. I can go around the corner and get something else. You can't do that in North Lawndale. You can't do that in Englewood.
You can do that on the west side and the south side. Okay.
Can I make one point before we end, please?
Yes, please. Go ahead quickly.
Look, and I know it would take me more time to really develop this point, but we suffer from a lack of knowledge, and knowledge is half the battle. Knowledge is half the battle. All right. Now, look, I think our physiology as Black people, we've been on Earth provable about 4 million years. Our bodies adapt and respond better to nature. This whole
we can see you, so you don't have to be too close. You can step back. We can still see you.
Okay. Right. The pharmaceutical
There you go.
situation that we're dealing with is modern. The food that we're dealing with is crafted by man to be denutritionalized. That means, let's say you're eating 2 tomatoes that are grown conventionally, and you're eating 2 tomatoes that are grown organically or naturally. The natural tomatoes are full of nutrients. It's what the body expects when it's eating it. It needs these nutrients to perform optimally. All right? Not fall ill to sickness, to keep you at a point where your body is performing well. So many of us, most of us, are going to conventional stores, eating so-called healthy foods, but it's nothing in it. And that's the knowledge portion. So if, especially considering COVID, you need to be trying to make sure that your body is operating at optimal health. That means you have to be eating food that you know is full of nutrition and giving your body the nutrition it needs to do that.
Good.
And then you supplement on top of that with particular herbs, which I could go into herbs and black people too. Herbs have a special relationship with us.
Okay, bro.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you, but because of time, right? Now, you make a very good point in terms of by saying education. So there's an educational gap, right? So we have to start promoting heavily the nutrition gap that we see that seems to be lurking in our community. So we need to be pushing that more and more. How do we do that? I guess will be another day we can come and deliberate on that. But I know you guys are doing a lot of work in trying to get that information. Maybe we have to engage in a lot more of community events, just giving out free food, going to all those communities that have liquor stores, and set up free giveaway vegetables around this corner stores, right? And say, okay,
I never thought about that.
Yeah. So every now and then, brother, in between you and I and Jane, Julian, Kenya, and brother Anton, we can come up with a program where every Saturday or every so often we'll set up, tents around these corners and give out this free vegetables, because for all you know, they can't afford it. And see maybe if we can infiltrate in our communities with this habit of eating fresh, and maybe once they start getting it for free, they might find and it tastes good. They might find value. Okay, this is good. They might want to now trying to get more of it. And then the importance of agriculture and maybe farming and setting up your own backyard. And it's not even difficult, and it's fun setting up your backyard as setting up your backyard for a garden and growing your own tomatoes and onions. It's fun, actually. It is fun. So maybe this is how.
Brother, you mentioned backyard. Right now, Anton Seals in Grow Greater Englewood has one of the most dynamic programs, and I think it really is about sharing these resources that we all kind of know, these hidden gems like Sweetwater. Well, with the case of Anton, they have a beautiful series that I would love and invite everyone that is listening at this moment to call Greater Englewood and sign up for next year's Backyard Garden Series.
Next year, okay.
They're bringing out beautiful cedar raised beds that they fill up with all kinds of tomatoes and peppers, okra, herbs. It's about a 4-by-4 bed with about 20 gallons, 5 gallons of soil. It's amazing.
I love it. Okay, let's put out the information out there. Before we do so, Nanama Inti also is here with us. Imani Mohammed joined us for this show. Thank you, Imani. Imani, I read the comments, the message that you sent to me today. I posted it. It's powerful. I couldn't do the show without sharing that powerful message you shared with me. So thank you for sharing it, and thank you for being on the show. Boatin Ashia also joined us. And then we have a few people that joined us that I missed earlier. Aqua Dada. Thank you so much for the time yesterday. You and Pastor Atta, it was a blessing having you. Emanuela Brookman. Thank you for joining the show. Thank you for joining the show. Great singer in Chicago. Great gospel singer. You should check out Emanuela Brookman. I don't know if you have an album yet, Emanuela, but if you do, maybe you want to share it with me one time. We'll promote it. We'll play it on the show. Why not? And then we have Constance Otri also joined us. Annie Mallory also is here. Dr. Portia Claudine Mascacchio is also here with us. Let me quickly read their comments as we wrap this evening's discussion. She said, I love you guests. Thanks for having them on. Thank you so much for being here. And then Portia says, attend a free food education seminar and receive free, fresh, healthy food. Okay. Just keep this information coming. We need it. We need vegetable tastings. Oh, this is a good one. We need vegetable tastings. Oh, yes. This is gonna be something that these great people would be. We're gonna be working on this. Thank you for sharing that. So, Brother John Oben Ipe John says, as far as America is concerned, I'd like to focus my thoughts in the Black community. I think many people are aware of healthy food. The problem is whether or not people are able to afford the good and organic food. I work in the south side of Chicago. There are not too many health grocery shops in those communities. If you can't go far to get something healthy, then you end up with the same pizza every day. It's insecurity a problem to accessing healthy food? Is insecurity a problem to accessing healthy food? Good feeding and exercise go together. And I think he has another comment that I wanted to read out, and we're going to end the show. He says, I grew up in Cameroon. We had no money, but we had food everywhere. Most of our food being vegetables and grain. Since Western civilization and the influx of Chinese products in the country, many look at those rich, healthy food as inferior. Everyone wants to eat chicken from the Chinese shops. People want to eat pizza and canned food. This to them is living well. Unfortunately, it is not. In my view, we in Africa and elsewhere tend to consume what we do not produce, and we produce what we do not. Well, great points. Excellent. On that note, I would like to give you all your last words. I'll give you the chance to give us your last words and how people can get in touch with you, the name of your product and how people can get it, all of that. We'll start with my brother Thad. Please go ahead.
Sure. So, of course, I sell honey. I have a 3, 6, 12, 24, 48 ounces. The 3 ounces 5, the 6 ounces 10, the 12 ounces 15, the 24 ounces 30, the 48 is 40, 60. Yeah. Okay. It's hard to remember all those prices sometimes. I've got two new products coming out. It's an alkaline water called W2O, Westside Water, and another product that's going to be alkaline water and honey that I'm combining together. I think I'm going to call it Honey BT. I'm not really sure the name yet, but it's really geared towards being healthy. It's geared toward taking fructose syrup out of your diet and actually hydrating yourself with what you drink. The water, again, is alkaline. It helps to raise the alkaline level in your body, helps to keep you healthier. So those are the two new products that I'm working on, and I hope and I'm praying that they are going to be successful.
Brilliant. And
and so and if you want to check me out, WestSideBBoys.com, WestSideBBoys.com. It has my schedule and where I'm going to be, and that's pretty much it. Great.
I was gonna we lost Anton again, but Julian and Kenya, please give us your last words and give us the name of your product and how people can locate it.
Well, I would love to invite everyone out this Saturday to 90th and Mackinac and come see one of the largest farms in the city of Chicago at Urban Growers Collective. We will be having our beautiful farmers market, and you'll see a lot of the diversity of that farming collective there that Erica has established for us, and come by amazing okra. I fried some last week, and horseradish and bay and melons from the Amish and eggs from Indiana through the CDC farms. Just really amazing. So come see me Saturday. I'll be on 90th and Mackinac, and I could really go in depth with everyone at that time about our product. We also sell our product there at that farmer's market, which there's our label.
Wow.
And my favorite part of this is that here is the Grow Greater Englewood symbol. There you go.
Oh, wow. Okay. There you go.
Parts
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
community and how they're represented. So you can come see me Saturday and live in person, or come check out our website, and I'm going to let Julian give you all those details.
Thank you, Brother Julian.
DUSABLE City Ancestral Winery.com. Come visit us there. We have 2 particular medicinal tinctures available. They're specifically crafted to boost your health and you boost your immune system. One is CBD with elderberry and ashwagandha. That particular herb combination has been working very well for our customers for COVID prevention. I'm not going to say cure. It's a good way to boost your immune system to be able to battle whatever is out there.
Right. Okay.
All right. Second one, real quick, is moringa with CBD and elderflower. That particular combination is very good for if you feel like the onset of upper respiratory infections, runny nose, sore throat, anything like that in the chest. You take that right away, bam.
I'm gonna have to come check out some of your recipes, brother. Hopefully you can make me some. This sounds very good.
Yeah.
We would love to have you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Julian and Kenya Sample, owners of.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Owners of DUSABLE. Yes, absolutely. Owners of DUSABLE City Ancestry Winery. Thad Smith. Yeah, there you go. Westside B-Boy.
B-Boy.
Yes, brother, it was fun. It was awesome, having you again. This brother Anton Seals. I'm sure he had to attend to other business, and so we couldn't get a chance to give us his last words. And Imani is saying that he says we are currently working to offer a better store on the south side, 743 West 79th Street. Okay. So this conversation has been very successful. I believe that we have gotten the word we have created the buzz. And the buzz is already out there, but we have added to the buzz when it comes to urban farming, urban gardening, and beekeeping, and feeding ourselves with our own growing our own food. Please keep the conversation going. This is very, very crucial. Your food is your medicine. And I actually want to go back to what I want to try and end the discussion with what Imani Mohammed said earlier when it comes to growing your own food. I think the piece about being doctors in our kitchen. She's okay right here. She said, praise God. This topic is okay. So we'll move past. He says, we must produce and consume our own food. We must produce and consume our own food. Agriculture is the new medical school. That's what she's trying to say. New med school. We must realize we are doctors in our kitchen. How powerful is that? We must realize that we are doctors in our kitchen. And so let's take care of our health by paying conscious attention to what we put in. and paying conscious attention to working on or working at what we put in. All right. Please keep the conversation going by sharing the feed on Facebook and on YouTube. If you missed it, you can always watch it on our page, which is the Progressive Minds Facebook page or YouTube. Please remember to support us by donating on our website, theprogressivemindshow.com. You can also use the Cash App, which is $Sena Alinko. It has been awesome. It's been great to my audience who have stayed on. Pastor Arte, Priscilla, Jackie, all of you, Maggie. If I can mention your name right now, it's because I've already mentioned it. But I want to say that I really love and appreciate you, our audience, for consistently supporting the Progressive Mind Show. Also to my great guests, Thad and Smith, Julian and Kenya, you've been awesome. I love you guys. Now, the conversation doesn't end here. We're going to keep working. We're going to keep working with the diaspora, right? We're going to work with the diaspora, work together to get this message out. And the food tasting, the veggie food tasting thing, we have to find a way of making these things happen, right? So hopefully we can collaborate. We can collaborate and make things happen. And Thad, you and I are talking. We're planning on that festival, diaspora festival next year, right?
Hey, I already talked to the president. We're on, baby. We are on.
We're gonna do it. Diaspora Cultural Festival, whatever it is gonna happen next year. Stay tuned to the Progressive Mind Show every Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. We'll be coming your way with great discussions such as this. I've been great, and I've been blessed to be coming your way. My name is Sena, aka Alinko. I'm your favorite host. Next week, Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. Do not miss it. Remember, to whom much is given, much is required. It's been love. God bless you. Bye-bye. Bye, guys.
See you later.
Howard.
All right.
Howard.
You're listening to the Progressive Mind Show, your number one community building show in the world. Every Wednesday, 6 to 8 p.m. CST. Live on Facebook and YouTube.
God bless you.
Join
We'll see you
us
guys.
as we
Bye-bye.
discuss pertinent issues that relate. With your host, Alinko.